welcome to For He Who Is Mighty. I have a special guest today. This is David.
Hello, everybody.
He's my husband. So today we have our relationship testimony that we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about how we started dating and
why we started dating.
And now we're married, how we got here. So first I want him to introduce a little bit about himself, so he's not just a stranger also on the screen.
So what's up, guys and gals? My name is David Cordero. I am the husband of the beautiful Susan Cordero. I am 28 when this video is going to be turning out. I'll be 29 in February. I like sports.
Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys, even though we lost today to the Jets. It's probably going to be edited out, but I just want to throw it out there just in case she doesn't edit it out. I'm actually disappointed in them, like, a lot.
Like, he's really upset right now.
I'm actually upset, but I'm putting on my face.
Thank you.
My happy, let's do this for my wife face.
He's a huge Cowboys fan. He was in the Marines for 5 years.
Marine veteran, 5 years, helicopter technician, so it's like electrician for the helicopters, and got out, and then started working. That's who we are, well, who I am, and hope you guys enjoy our testimony of how we started dating. Or honestly, it's a why we, not how, it's kind of a why we started dating.
We hope you see Jesus in it, because we see Jesus in it. We
so,
know it was Jesus who brought us together. Alright, so where do we begin? I kind of want to begin. So just real quick, we've known each other since we were small. So we have a 4-year difference. So when he was like a cool high schooler, I was like a weird middle schooler. And it was just that kind of age gap when we were growing up. We've known each other since we were like, what, 10? Well, I was like 8, you were like 12.
Yeah.
So he's always been like the cool kid at church, and so it was always like weird.
It was a small church. There was no.
It was.
I was just older.
It was a small church. I was intimidated by you when I was little.
Not in a bad way. It's just I was older.
Because you were a cool kid. Anyway, so we kind of grew up the same way. We both grew up in the church, but we were just like friends. Like nothing ever.
If that, honestly. It's more like, hey, Susan, what's up? Hey.
Bye.
Bye.
Because, again, he was the cool kid.
Because I was his age difference.
Okay, but I also want to... So that was a little bit of how we've known each other. But 1 year before we started dating, I want to talk about where we were at in life.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that's important of how that kind of set us up, so...
So, I guess the year before we started dating, I had just gotten a relationship. And
out of the military, too.
No, it wasn't military.
Yeah, you got out July 2014. We started dating June 2015.
Oh, did we? Okay, yeah. I guess. So a year out, and then I was dating someone during when I was in the military, long distance, and then it just didn't work out. And then, you know, at that time, when I was in the military, I wasn't a believer as much as I would have liked to, I guess you could say. I didn't really listen to God and obey His statutes and statures, or do His will, honestly, basically. Live the Christian life, or the life He wanted me to live. There's a difference between Christian life and the life He wants me to live.
True.
Because a lot of times we want to say, oh yeah, I'm a Christian and I'm living the Christian life. I wasn't living out His will for my life. Let's put it that way. Because when you want to live out His will for your life, that's when you gotta get ready for some big things. So yeah, so I wasn't living out His will for my life at the moment, and then after I got out, it was hard getting out because I was so used to being alone and to myself, especially being in the military. Like, okay, cool, I'm by myself, no one's here, my family, just my roommate, and that's it. We got along well. Joe Keith.
Shout out to Joe Keith. We love Joe.
We love
and
Joe.
Stevie.
And Stevie, the Karenans. We love the Karenans and their growing family. But yeah, so Joe was someone I hung out with, and that was my brother, really, for 4 years. So that's who I hung out with for the most part, and who I knew very well. But once I got out, it was difficult trying to adjust to everyone, trying to adjust to people always being around me. Like just coming home and to a noisy family. We're Mexican, so we're loud, especially my brother Eric. He's super loud, he's always talking and always having something to say, and it was just hard, you know. And then I thought, and there's something that I guess my parents always told me, or my dad, I don't know who it was, said, you know, you're always going to have family. Girlfriends are going to come and go, but always remember your family's going to be here no matter what. So in that transition, it was hard having a girlfriend, being with my family, so I thought it was a girlfriend issue. So I was like, you know, I'm We had to put a break to this. But I wasn't like breaking, I was just a little break. So I was like, okay, we'll take a break and then we'll come back. So we did, came back to the relationship, and it's not what I wanted anymore. It's not who I saw myself with for the rest of my life. So after that happened, I was like, all right, I'm going to go on a soul-searching
journey.
But it was more of a God-seeking journey, trying to figure out who God is in my life and trying to place God first in my life so I can be able to live out His will. So during that time, I started doing that, and I totally felt like the difference and the joy and the happiness, and even being around my family. It did take a little while, but I got accustomed to being home and being around people, so I was like, okay, cool. I can do this, and I'm definitely sure that the Lord helped with that. So I was able to do that, and that's when it all went down.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, my turn now. So for me, if you haven't watched my testimony video, go check it out because it explains the before and after, but I'm basically just going to share that 1 year section before we started dating. So before we started dating, I was in my second year of college. I was just on fire for the Lord. So I was put into a Christian school, a Christian bubble. I was like, this is crazy. Like, I want to follow the Lord with all my heart. So my second year of college, I went in single. I was like, me and Jesus, that's it. No guy. It's all the Lord. So during that time, I was just seeking the Lord with all my heart. And during those, so time progressed. Towards the end of my second year, I then felt in my heart that I needed to go back to my home church. So I don't know if I explained it in my testimony about going back to my home church, but I was not going to my home church, which is the church we grew up in. I was going to a different church with my different friends, and I was just doing my own thing. Like, me and my family were separate. Me and my home church were separate. Like, it was just me doing my thing in college. But in my heart, I felt like I needed to go back to my home church, and I was just kind of like, I don't really want to go back. Like, I'm really happy here doing my own thing. Like, I peaced out, I'm gone, like, don't want to go back. But I felt like the Lord was really telling me to go back because of my parents, and that really tugged on my heart because I really wanted to be there for my parents, and I really wanted to encourage them, to support them, because they just kind of needed that because they didn't really have a foundation on Christ. So that really tugged on my heart, so I was like, all right, I'll go back, Lord, like, I guess, like, it's not going to be great, but I'll be there. That gave my parents an incentive to go to church, so I started going back. He was back, and I was like, oh, what's up? You're back from the Marines, because I hadn't seen him since he left, which was a long time ago. Yeah, so I went to school, then he came back, but I wouldn't go to church, so we wouldn't see each other until that moment when I decided to go back, because the Lord was like, go back, and I was like, sure. So we went back, I went back, and I started going to church. I became a Sunday school teacher, so I was pretty active at church. And then we just kind of like, we're like, hey, how you doing? Like, it's been a long time. We're now adults. Like, yeah, what's up? And I think we both have a moment we can talk about when we were like, wait, this is an interesting man. Like, I want to get to know you better. So you share your...
You're lying. You didn't say that.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
And
she's never told me this before.
Yes, I have.
No,
yes, I have.
I started and then you're like, oh yeah. You never thought. You started thinking after.
I thought it was cool. Okay, let me share you my moment of when I was like, whoa.
Yeah, when was your moment?
I have shared this with you. What the heck? Okay, so at our church, we would have Sunday school, and then we would have like a lunch break, and then we would have our second service. During that lunch break, he so happened to sit next to me, and we had like this really good conversation about the Lord.
It was the only seat open.
It was meant to be, clearly. We had this really deep conversation about God and just like how there's so much more to God.
Oh, yeah, she did tell me this.
How there's so much more to God than just rules and like regulations and following all these things. Like, it was just more, yeah, and I thought it was so, like, I don't remember what he said, but I was just like, so like, whoa, like, you have so much wisdom and you just have so much, like, I could see his love for the Lord, and I was just like, whoa. Then, for me, I was interested to be his friend. Again, remember, this is my period of, I'm like, following the Lord with all my heart, like, no man is going to get in between them.
And you told me that too, so I was like,
yeah.
I didn't pressure you into, like,
so
big.
I wasn't, like, into you of, like, oh,
yeah.
let me date him. It was more like, oh, I want to be your friend.
And I understood that as a guy, it's kind of hard, like, oh, she likes me. Oh, really? Oh, hello.
Yeah. And I was more of, like, I'm going to take the friend approach, because I thought he was like very wise and like very interesting to talk to about the Lord. So that's how I approached it. Tell them your moment of when you were like, ooh.
So my moment was when we were in Sunday school. I don't think you were a Sunday school teacher at the moment. You were just, she had just kind of came back to church. It was Sunday school, and she was sitting in front of me, like directly, like across from the table from Sunday school, and I saw that her Bible was just highlighted, and there was notes everywhere. So that got me thinking, like, oh, homegirl is in love with Jesus. She talks to Jesus. She gets in communication with Jesus. She's obviously in the Word, for her benefit, for herself. And honestly, the thing that came to mind was, that's the woman I want to raise my children. Like, literally, that's what I said in my head. I was like, that's the woman who I want to raise for my children. So when I did that, that's when, I did purposefully sit next to her, and I tried to start communication, see how her relationship was. Because a lot of times people just read and, oh, that's a cool book, some people think it's a cool book. They like the Psalms, they like the Proverbs of wisdom. They're like, oh man, look, it talks about be good to your neighbor and stuff like that. So I wanted to see how a relationship was. It wasn't like let's see if you're good enough for me, or how far you are for Jesus. Yeah, how true your relationship is. Because like I said, I didn't want to, when I was God-seeking, I guess you can say, I was looking for someone compatible. And I didn't want to date the next person I dated. I didn't want to be just a date, a girlfriend. Hey, it's the next person I dated. I wanted to be for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And here we are.
Yeah, and it's cool because when we were in that period of like getting to know each other and just being friends, my dad was the one who was like, he's like after you, like, he's into you. And I was like, no, he's not. Like, my dad was the one who noticed it at church, and like he would notice like him looking at me, and I'd be like, this is kind of weird, but it's like kind of cute too. So we were in that period of like just being friends and hanging out, and it went really well. I had told him, like, I want someone that's going to love the Lord. Like, our relationship is going to be founded like
Christ-centered.
Yeah, it's going to be Christ. Like, the Lord is everything to me, and that is what I want in a relationship. And he took it with, like, full speed once, like, we were like, all right, let's start dating.
And that was the same way. Like, I was like, if Christ isn't your priority, we can move on and be friends. That's it. I'm not going to just degrade her. I'm just not going to push you away for that. It's just, I wanted someone personally. You have to know what you want, honestly. It's not like, well, I guess, let's try it out. It's like, no, what do you want? And I knew what I wanted. She knew what she wanted, and I think that's how it worked out so well.
Because we both wanted the same thing.
Right.
We were both on the same page.
Right.
And it's so cool to me because I think during that time when I was like, no guy for me, like me and Jesus, I sought the Lord so much in the decision of dating each other. Like, I was just seeking the Lord through like other people, like talking to godly people and like talking to people who I felt like had a lot of wisdom, a lot of prayer, a lot of spending time in the Bible. I remember that I was reading my Bible, I was in prayer, and I literally asked the Lord, like, Lord, help me, because I don't know what to do. Like, I really like this dude. He seems like a really good guy. Like, he seems like husband material, but I also want to pursue God and I want to do God's will. But I remember I was reading the Bible, and in Matthew 5:41 it says, and if someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. And I remember like thinking like, okay, I don't feel forced, but also like maybe like this is God telling me like, okay, this is the man, like this is the man I have for you, and like not just going 1 mile but 2, like not just dating him but marrying him. But I remember just like really being in prayer and then just having like a piece of, this is the guy. But when we first started dating, it wasn't all butterflies and sprinkles and unicorns. Like, it was hard. It was a hard time because even though I went through that 1 year of healing and pursuing the Lord, like, I still was a mess. Like, I still had so much bad or just like so much going on in my head and just so much insecurities and just anxiety. Like, I was still struggling with anxiety. And so bringing him in...
Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect either.
But I had a messy childhood. Go check out my testimony video if you want to see the messiness of it all. But so bringing him along and then me having to share my feelings with him, me having to tell him how I feel, like that was really difficult for me. And
she wasn't good at it.
I was terrible. And so it was really difficult.
It kind of worked out because I didn't always want to hear her. But
yeah. It was just... I'm just kidding. It was hard.
But it's just, I've also like, I knew from the beginning that communication had to be key, and the fact that she wasn't communicating very well, she's gotten a lot better. Now she tells me everything.
Even more.
Yeah, and more.
Like, they do you have like 5 minutes to listen to this, please?
Yeah. So, but yeah, like I knew communication was key in a relationship, and I needed to hear, even when I didn't want to hear her out. It's like, okay, just I know it's key, but sometimes I'm just like I just did it out of habit. But I've gotten better in the sense of like understanding her and more empathetic with her. And just be like, okay.
And just being like my partner in life, like coming alongside me, praying with me, like encouraging me, loving on me when things got difficult. And so that was a hard transition of trying to figure out how to do that. But I think because we both were so centered and so on fire for God, like through God's strength and through God's love, we were able to push through. Or else I don't think we would have been able to push through.
Oh, no, definitely.
It was so difficult.
No
like
way.
you guys, I'm not even exaggerating. Like it was rough.
What really got me through was the fact that you love Jesus so much, and I was like, wow, if she loves Jesus so much, and then with this baggage, now imagine without it. You know, she's going to be able to do bigger and greater things. Not that she wasn't already, but she's going to do bigger and greater things. So that's really what pushed me through. Like, wow, she'll get through it. Hopefully I can help.
Yeah. And we've gone through a lot.
Yeah.
I've let go of a lot of baggage through His help. Well, the Lord using Him.
From the Lord through me.
Yeah. So, but we're still learning. Just being an instrument. We're still learning, and we're still working together. We're a team for the Lord, furthering the kingdom of God, being servants of God together. Even more now that we're married, as becoming one. Like, that is our main goal, our main purpose, and like that's honestly what's getting us through life. We've seen God show up in ways unimaginable, and we're excited to share those with you in future videos. We do plan on making marriage videos, like with advice, like what we've learned, like how we have Christ centered in our marriage, like just our daily life. A lot of marriage videos, because we have a lot of good stuff to share with you. So you'll see more of this handsome face. So thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around. Subscribe, comment down below any prayer requests. We would love to pray for you all.
That's right.
I think that's it for today.
That's it.
Thanks for watching.
Peace.
Bye.